everybody. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are here to talk about the first weekend of Hallmark Movies 2023. It's our 7th year covering Countdown to Christmas. It's wild. And we're excited to do it.
7 years?
7 years. Yes. 7 years. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Anne is here.
Hi, everyone.
And we have our friend Camilla's here.
Hi, aloha.
Aloha. Yes, Camilla's with us from the great state of Hawaii, and thank you so much for taking the time to recap these movies. And
I am honored to join you guys. I'm a huge fan. So
thanks.
The honor is 100% mine.
All right. Well, we're excited to talk about these 3 movies, and of course, we want to hear what you think. And if you want to be a part of our episodes, if you want to contribute, if you want to be part of our watch alongs that we have every month, we have our Patreon group, which is so much fun and such a great way to support us. We really appreciate that. All that information is in the description. And but let's dive in. Let's talk about these 3 movies. And the first one is called Checkin' It Twice. And this was on Hallmark Channel. And it stars Kim Matula and Kevin McGarry. A journeyman hockey player falls for a real estate agent in a career crisis when he's traded to her hometown and moves into the cottage in her hockey-loving family's backyard. So, Anne, overall, what did you think about this
one? I mean, I really like this one. I mean, it's definitely very, classic movies. Nothing new that they're adding in here, really. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was what I thought it was going to be, and I had fun with it. You don't get that many sports movies, so I always look.
Yeah. Sometimes you need those like base hits that are like don't want everything to be thinking outside the box. You want sometimes just want click.
Especially because we knew that the Saturday movie was way outside the box, so it's like nice to have one that's like totally basic,
right?
Starting out. Yeah.
I agree. What did you think overall, Camille, of this one?
I was bored.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm a hockey fan. I have no clue. And a lot of the dialogue for like at least middle parts of the movie was very heavy, hockey heavy, and I kind of clocked out with it. And stuff, but I'm a huge, Kim Matula won me over last year with Ghost of Christmas Always. I was hoping that this one was going to hit me out the park too, but I don't know. It was just like, this one is just like, okay, sure. Nothing special. I'm not a hockey fan, but yeah, it was just not for me.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's not going to be like a classic. I don't think it'll end up in my favorites of the season or anything like that. But I did appreciate that they tried to bring in some humor with things like the eggnog scene. I thought was genuinely
that was funny.
That was funny, and seeing his face and everything. And I also appreciated really with all 3 of these movies, especially the first and last. I felt like they were really trying to bring in new traditions for Christmas, for a Christmas movie. So it's not just the tree lighting ceremony and the, and that's hard to do. And I like in this one, you have like them fishing for ornaments, and all the stuff in the what did they call it? The Christmas Palooza thing, where I thought pretty creative.
Yeah, I thought that was cute. The whole competitiveness between to get the fishing ornament or whatever. I thought that was so funny.
It was a cute idea, I thought.
Yeah,
especially with the name being the Trouts.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that didn't even cross my mind for some reason. I thought it was a cute idea though. Thing that I really, really liked about this movie is I really liked that they both became single in the first like 7 minutes. Like, she dumped her person, he got dumped. There was no emotional cheating. Everybody was single for 7 minutes. And I just personally really appreciated that. So
Yeah.
to the writer, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I'm not in the back of my mind thinking about they're with some other person. So that was nice.
Mhm.
And I thought they really communicated so openly.
Mhm.
They really like, bounced off ideas about each other and like talked, so there wasn't some like misunderstanding, because they were always talking about what was happening with their
Mhm.
life choices and stuff. So
I
Yeah.
also liked the fact that for the most part, her family was like really supportive. There was no
Guilt trip.
city girl shaming. They were all
Yeah.
like, we support you in whatever you do. We're sorry that we don't get to see you more. But I thought that her, especially compared to the second movie that we'll talk about,
Yeah.
but
It was a guilt trip.
yeah, her parents, when she says, I just felt embarrassed, and they were all like, well, you dodged a bullet. That was a smart move. So I thought her family was pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his family obviously
I have a
there was
question.
no family.
That one of my sisters, the oldest one or whatever, she looks familiar. What movie was she? It was racking my brain. I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
I just saw her in a movie like
yeah.
either
I know
last year
a
or
couple of these, but I don't remember what. Oh, she's in I think she's in The Curious Caterer. That might be why you're saying that, because
no,
it
it was a Christmas. I thought it was a Christmas movie. I
Um,
don't watch the mysteries, so it can't be a
oh,
mystery
okay.
series.
Yeah, Brittany. I have seen her in some other the
oh,
movies.
she was in the Gingerbread Miracle.
Mm.
And she was in Just One Kiss. She was his sister
Oh
in Just
yeah,
One Kiss. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so but I thought in general her family was really cool. And they tried, I think, to give like some dynamics to their characters that,
yeah,
like he really does have this messy relationship with his dad, and it's not really made right. Like
Mhm.
his dad doesn't ever come around. I mean, that was interesting, I thought.
Oh my
And
God, that was heartbreaking for me
yeah,
when he was like saying thank you to his teammates, and the like
yeah,
the broadcaster was like, "What about your family?" And he's like, "My team is my family." I'm like, and his son is watching this, and I'm like
yeah,
so heartbroken. But he was watching, but that scene was going on. I was like, "Oh my God, poor dude."
yeah, that was rough.
I mean,
I
it's nice to see like the miracles and stuff, but most people's life isn't like that. Like
yeah,
most people's life is like every time my dad comes on the TV, I want to turn it off because I don't have a good relationship with him, and I don't really want to hear him talk about how much he loves his team, and he was never there.
yeah.
It sounds a lot more realistic, so I mean, I can kind of appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Well, and plus it makes everything with her family all the more meaningful to him, and makes
Yeah,
his decision to give up the Boise at the end, it makes it make more sense because he's really finally felt a loving family. It's
yeah,
more than just her. It's this whole
Yeah,
thing.
that's true.
So, it makes sense. And I did think that the whole thing with him, like the coach giving him the coach's Bible and saying, maybe this is what you're meant to do. And that whole journey I thought was pretty good. Like they did a good job with it, I thought.
Because it wasn't just dropped at the end; it was like sprinkled
Yeah.
all the way through, so it felt like a whole like arc. So
Yeah, we were just talking in this ranking of the first movies. We were talking about 'Tis the Season of Love, and one of the things I really don't like in that movie is that she finally gets the opportunity to be in this be on Broadway, and she gives it up because of the kids and Brendan Penny. And that's so frustrating to me. But in this case, it made a lot more sense because they developed it throughout, and it it really did feel like a meaningful choice that he was making.
yeah,
yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
very. So I liked that well, and I thought that there were a lot of like cute moments, like when they're decorating the tree outside, and that had like meaning and was meaningful to the characters. Overall, I think it was actually pretty well written.
yeah. I think
Uh,
the writing is yeah good.
hmm Yeah. I don't know who the writer is. I don't think it said it on the IMDb. Let me see if I updated it.
They haven't been.
Oh yeah, Steve Beauregard. Director Kevin Fair, who did a bunch of the Signed, Sealed, Delivered. But this is his first this is his first project, first script. So way to go. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. It is seem like at the beginning, I'm just thinking, who is dumping Kim Petula and Kevin McGarry? I mean, what's wrong with these people? Because I just think, are there two more gorgeous human beings on the planet than these two?
I mean, that child would have very beautiful eyes. Like, wow, it's too.
I mean, they would have the most blue eyes in the world, and they would be so tall. Because both of them are. I don't know. It's funny to me. And I also felt like, really, with all three of these movies, I felt like they were all kind of quarantine chic, as I like to call. He really looked like he needed a haircut. But I don't know if they were really trying to make him different than Nathan. Because Nathan's so clean cut, and so in this, he's got more of that kind of like longer hair and a little bit of stubble and kind of a thing going on. But it just kind of made me laugh that all three of the guys, I guess a little bit less so Ryan in the third one, but we're all kind of rugged.
They all had rugged.
Yeah. But Kevin McGarry, in my opinion, I mean, everybody who's in these movies is very attractive. Why would you be cast? but he is just he's just such a handsome human being. And Kim is gorgeous also, obviously. And I don't know, just a very, very attractive combo. She also gets the offer to work in Idaho Falls pretty early on in the story too. So then that's also not kind of a last minute, like, it's something she's really thinking about, kind of divorced from anything to do with him.
Yeah. Like, it's brought up, way before.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I wrote it down, like when they said it, because I remember being impressed, but I don't see it. But I remember,
her sister was the one who brought it up, right? Like that somebody was retiring or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know what? Someone pointed out on Twitter that, like, how many houses can Idaho Falls have? That they have like 2 real estate workers. Because I mean, the thing about it is, like, what the biggest news that they had was they had a new water treatment plant.
That was funny.
Let's see. I mean, it's really not that.
If that was the biggest news,
it's actually not that small. I'm just looking it up. Idaho Falls, 66,000.
Well, maybe the Hallmark version of Idaho Falls is different than the real world version of Idaho Falls. Because I'm sure that the 66,000 populated Idaho Falls would have bigger news than we have a new water treatment plant.
But the other thing is that it's like way cheaper. I mean, there's no comparison to living in New York versus living in Idaho Falls. So her standard of living is going to be way less, and so she wouldn't need to sell as much, because
that's true.
So there's that as well. And evidently, this lady has all the clients and stuff, so they're kind of passing them down to her. So we did have a bunch of near kisses in this. I'm just like, stupid cell phone. I hate you.
Kevin chickened out, the one outside. He's like, I should go back inside. I'm like, oh, you chickened out. We know.
Yeah. And so of course this lady from New York calls and says, I've got this place that you can sell, that you come back on the 23rd of December. No houses are closing on the 23rd of December.
That's always
just hilarious.
That kills me.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
I thought this whole jamboree thing was pretty creative. They had the like, I don't, wasn't bobbing for gingerbread, but the gingerbread on the string where they're like,
Oh yeah, or they had to like try to bite it, and it's
yeah,
like, yeah. That was
that was fun. I've never seen that before. I thought that was fun, and then the fish ornament was creative, and yeah, and this is when the parents say, we'll support you whatever you do. And I did think it was very swoon-worthy when he's just there at the airport. We didn't even get like a rush to the airport, scene. He was just there. He turned around.
It was a good ending.
Yeah, it was good. Being alone at Christmas isn't something I want to survive with anymore. That's swoon-worthy.
Yeah,
good
and it
line.
was a good kiss, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they went for it. That was good.
I like that it was like a full circle.
Yeah.
Well,
and as spinning. Yeah.
They went back into the cab together, and they both said the same address. It was like
yeah, that was cute.
I think
that was cute. I like that.
Well, and I've said this many times on our what calls the Heart Recap, but Kevin McGarry has never kissed a woman on that show. Never. He's been on the show, I think 5 seasons. 0. None. And so all that they can do, the Team Nathan people, all they do is compile together these like longing look montages. Yeah, the longing look montages. And I'm just grateful that in this movie we got.
Don't get me started on Team Nathan. Oh my God, that's crazy.
We love you, Team Nathan, but I'm just saying it was nice because he's he's great. And it was nice in this movie that we got more than longing look montages.
Could get the girl in 90 minutes. Yeah.
In like regular clothes.
Yeah. And he says, I think my dream was to prove to myself that I'm just as good as my dad. And he says, but because of you and your crazy family, I don't have to do that anymore. That's very sweet. And then he took the coaching job. And she says, you took the coaching job on the off chance you might see me?
That was cute.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, there's some other reasons too.
Yeah. So she's taking the job in real estate, and they're going to be happy in Idaho Falls for the rest of their life. This will be great. So I am usually pretty forgiving for the first movie of the season, I admit. But I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. I'd probably give it like probably like 3.5 out of 5 crowns.
That's the same as I had. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Camille?
About 3. It's I think it's middle of the road for me. It's probably not going to be something that I'll remember later.
Yeah. Well, our next one is definitely memorable. We'll be talking about it for a while.
It's memorable.
It's Where Are You Christmas? And this stars Lindsay Finesca and Michael Rady, director Dustin Reichert, writers Timothy Couric and Michael Rice. When Addie wishes for a year without Christmas, she wakes up in a world of black and white. She must work together with the town mechanic to restore Christmas. Now, my problem with this movie, I do admire the risk taking, and there's some interesting things, and I do think it looks really cool. Like how they did that with the black and white and the color, and it was cool to watch. But when you have this is basically an allegory, right? And when you have this type of like strong magic kind of story, right? I feel like there has to be a pretty big catalyst that gets the character to that spot, right? And if it's just kind of like, oops, I tripped and then now I'm in this world, that it's a little weird. I mean, I guess you can kind of Alice in Wonderland it, but still, even then she has some motivation. And this, like, if you think about it with Christmas stories, with It's a Wonderful Life, like he's gonna kill himself. Like, it's a pretty extreme moment in his life. In Christmas Carol, like he's an extreme character. Like, this is not just like an everyday kind of character. He's a extreme. Even the Family Man, Nicolas Cage, like he's pretty far gone by the time this happens. And I guess my main issue with this movie is that I just didn't feel like hardly anything in her character, aside from sort of wistfully making this wish, was worthy of this like nightmare scenario that she's of this alternate reality. I don't feel like she was doing anything that was worthy of this kind of punishment / like learning experience, because I mean, she does say at the beginning, like, oh, I used to love Christmas. Now it's just part of my job. But she's like cognizant of that, and she's aware of it and concerned about it. She's not just like, I don't like Christmas, I hate it. Like she's concerned about this. She's thinking about it. She's, and she also, the minute that she hears from her brother and he asks her to come, she immediately abandons the Maldives and goes home for her brother. So that to me says something, because of course in a Hallmark movie, if you're going to the beach for Christmas, unless you live in Hawaii like you do, then you're like a bad person. But like, she wasn't a bad person. She gave up her trip at a moment's notice for her brother. So I don't know. I just felt like this woman has not done enough to deserve the black and white reality.
That was very fair. I never thought about it, but that's very fair reasoning. Yeah.
That's why I was just like, man, it was not nearly as bad as last year's Fabled Holiday, which was a true horror movie.
Oh yeah.
That they could not leave. They could not leave. And but I don't know. It didn't quite work for me, because I was just kind of feeling like this is so unfair. But it was creative.
My big issue with this movie is that there was no real correlation between why she made the wish in the first place to what made her change back to reality, to normalcy. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, for me, the interpretation of why she made that wish was that she was working too much. Her life was out of balance.
Yeah.
Right? Where she was like working a lot. Work was getting rid of her Christmas joy, etc. Mm-hmm. Her family is hounding her, everything, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't see how.
Well, hadn't by the end she basically by the end she'd kind of given up her job and was gonna be in love with Michael Rady.
I didn't see her quit. I mean, I saw her not answer the phone calls or whatever.
And isn't she gonna stay there? And she's gonna be with him.
Well, no, I remember thinking that wasn't resolved, because he was like, I've never really been anywhere. I've never been to Chicago. And she's, I know someone who can give you a tour. So I remember thinking, okay, they haven't resolved this location thing. So
maybe because she says, "Are you living the life you want to live?" And then she goes for the.
She wasn't. Excuse me.
Speeding through life is a way of keeping people at an arm's distance.
But he wasn't, like, love wasn't the missing love or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Was not.
That's true. I mean, that's a good point.
Because part of what why she was made the wish. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I do.
not really understanding what exactly changed her back. And that's another thing is in this time constraint, they needed more time to really like, get us to understand some of this stuff. And they just 86 minutes. So it's very hard to, do too much with that when you're working with something this complicated. So
I just think because she like threw her phone out, she stopped, and like her like that was just like compared to me, like her phone usage was minimal. Like I am on my phone way like more workaholic than either of these two women. So like I'm just waiting till I get turned into black and white because I deserve it way more than her. And at the beginning when she's like, my job is Christmas. Is it too much of a good thing? And I was like, I can't relate to that at all.
Yeah, really.
There's only so much holiday spirit a person can muster. I beg to differ. I am proof. But I really didn't think she was on her phone that much. I mean, like I said, I just didn't feel like she was worthy of this, like, this punishment by whatever it is that makes these things happen. And because I don't know, she just like, especially if you compare this to Take Me Back for Christmas that was this summer, like she was in way more of like a lower spot in that movie, like way more depressed and like sad and grieving and everything than she is here.
Yeah.
She's just like mildly overworking in a job that has to do with Christmas.
Oh gosh, that opening scene was so I'm not picky about CGI, whatever, bad graphics. That was so bad. Like, why did you have to show Navy Pier specifically? Because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, this is the worst thing I've seen on Hallmark all year. This scene is so bad. I did scan the QR code and it gave hallmarkchannel.com. So
yeah.
I wanted to know that.
Well, overall, I mean, we didn't really say, but overall, what did you think of it, Anne, this movie?
I have random thoughts because it's like there's some parts of it I like, there's parts of it I didn't like. I appreciate the big swing. I don't think it all worked totally, and so it's hard. It has pluses and minuses for me. And I really like Lindsay Fonseca too, and so it's but her dad is a lot, and I don't think some of the story could be fleshed out enough for it to make sense. So it's
we'll definitely talk some about this dad. But Camille, what did you think overall of this one?
My thoughts of this movie was there's a lot going on with this movie. Like, first of all, there were like a lot of questions that the whole like you forget Christmas thing makes you black and white. Okay, I understand that. But like, okay, where did she get the Christmas ornaments from that like she showed her teacher, her friend? Because remember, the Christmas ornaments were gone at her parents' house, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming
that was at the school.
Would the school have Christmas ornaments?
You know what I mean? I forget what had changed over at that point.
It was only
some things had changed over.
Michael's place changed first.
Okay, I mean, it was there. But yeah, no, it's true. Once you start pulling the string on this thing, it just unravels. Like what happens to all the people what happens to all the Jewish people?
My God. Oh my God. I was gonna say that too. Like a lot of
anybody who doesn't celebrate Christmas, like what happens when this curse happens?
Yeah, oh my God. There was this I like this movie on the surface level.
Yeah,
like if you just
really
watch it on the surface level, if you delve deeper into it, and a lot of people have delved deeper into it.
Yeah.
On Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook or whatever, it's like, whoa. Because like someone said, like, does this mean that the whole town doesn't believe in Jesus or whatever? Because like, Christians think that Christmas is all about Jesus being born, and with a year without Christmas is the whole town not believing in Jesus. And then another person was like, well, what is this movie implying about those who don't believe in Christmas? like about Jews and Muslims, that they all live in a bleak world, black and white, and the only color and the happiness and joy are from those who believe in Christmas. And I'm like, and then a whole other person brought in race.
Yeah,
where they're like,
I saw that.
We should, how about you know better than to have, you know, a town of white people attacking people of color? And I'm like, what?
I think that one was a reach. I you know, whatever you interpret however you want, but I felt like that one was like, okay, that
was definitely a reach.
It was a
That's
reach.
Why I was like, surface level, I like this movie, but if you go down the rabbit hole of what people were thinking about, it becomes very problematic.
Yeah, that's fair.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by W Rated, the podcast where we willingly watch the world's worst rated movies. Join me, Daisy,
and me, Claire, as we break down the IMDb Bottom 100, choosing a different film from the list every episode.
We take a deep dive into the plot, production, release, and reviews, usually with a special guest, to uncover if these films are truly as bad as everyone says they are.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, and anywhere else you find your podcasts.
I mean, and I have to say that's true for a lot of kind of fables or fairy tales. You kind of have to sort of accept them on this really sort of basic level, you know, like, and the overall moral that they're trying to teach, and they're but yeah, it's so let's talk about this dad for a thing. If anything, I felt like he's the one that should have been visited by three ghosts. I could not understand why he was so angry. And I mean, yeah, it's hard, but I don't live near almost anybody in my family, or I haven't for different stretches of my life. And it's not like a personal attack. It's just where they happen to live. Like, I don't know. I mean, my parents didn't live nearby me for a long time, and I wasn't like some prodigal daughter because I happen to live in a different state than them. I mean, I just thought his attitude was,
yeah, he was a lot. It was
crazy.
He was borderline violent. I mean, did you see how he was like attacking the tree and everything? And he was like, I was like, what is going on with you? Therapy.
Yeah, it was too
might
much.
need to check into his childhood trauma, because he didn't like to be, it seemed like he felt left behind. He felt left behind by his daughter. He felt left behind that everyone was in color and he wasn't. And it's like, I don't know what happened to him, but something he needs to work on with that, because he was really, yeah.
He was like, what about this pine tree in the middle of the room? And you don't listen to me. And I wrote down, her dad is being very harsh and unreasonable. Like, it was not like, you can't control people once they're adults. Like, you just have to be grateful for whatever like love you can get from them. I mean, and then he said that I don't fit into your life anymore. And then he says that I feel like I'm getting left behind. What's the point? Nobody listens to me. It was very strange.
It was, yeah. It just felt like a lot. And especially compared to like the super supportive family from like the first movie. Then you have this movie, and it's just like, whoa, he is, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that dad, Camille?
He needs therapy.
He really does.
He needs to go to a counselor. He needs to work out some emotions. Maybe he's dealt with some trauma, which reminds me that one thing I do love about this movie, I don't think we've talked about really, is it did touch on David's PTSD.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think the costume designer, Keith, was on Twitter chatting with us or whatever. So he said that even when David was turned to color, he chose basic colors for him, like grays, blacks, browns, whatever, to still convey that David wanted to still blend in and still have that fear of being alone. But yeah, definitely dad needs to go to therapy and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on with him, but he had me scared.
Yeah,
A couple of scenes.
it was very weird. I did laugh when Michael Rady has got the scarf all over. He looks
and
like
he's,
a thin man.
Yeah, the Invisible Man.
The Invisible
like
Man.
the movie or whatever. Yeah.
That was really funny.
Like, what happened to you? He's like,
I'm actually surprised they did like, because there was this. You guys probably watched Charmed, right? There was a scene where there was this, one episode where they had like a black and white character pop out of the movie screen kind of thing, and there is the scene where like Alyssa Milano's character put makeup on him to make him look more technicolor kind of thing. I'm surprised that like they didn't like even do that to Michael Moore's character, where like he was put in a black and white character, makeup kind of thing. But
it was funny though. It was good. I like that.
But
I didn't think they had great chemistry. Like it was okay, but it was cute when he says, "You'll always be beautiful to me," and I thought that Connor and Sienna, that was cute, little romance, secondary romance.
I like them,
And the question of like, are you living the life you want to live? Like there's nothing worse than being stuck in a job that you are truly miserable at. I mean, every job has things that people don't like, but when you're just like, I don't know, the only way I think to describe it is that you feel like you're in black and white, because you feel like you have like a black cloud over your life and it just won't go away, and nothing. And I had that for 3 years. I was in a job that I was just so unhappy. And I remember just telling my mom that I felt like I had lost the ability to feel joy. Like I was just so unhappy. And it was crazy that I kept it up for 3 years, but it's almost like after a while you've invested so much into it that you keep thinking, oh, well, it's going to get better. And then it'll all be worth it. Your mind just does weird stuff sometimes when you're unhappy.
Tries to process things or tries to encourage you or tries to,
And so she realized that she needed to change. And it was kind of funny, I thought, at the end when she was like, well, your kiss was great.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah, I thought the ending, the kiss talk, was really cute. I thought that whole part was really cute. And then like the New Year's movie thing was really cute. I liked that. That was like the best part.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because I did like the meta moments in the movie of like about Christmas and Christmas decorations. I liked the whole thing with her friend that's just expected to put on the pageant. And when she's in the black and white, she's like, why would I want to do an extra job when I'm on vacation? Which is something that I always think about. I'm like, that's the last thing that I would want to do when I go home, is be like, you're in charge of the play.
Oh my gosh, I would be so mad at my mom if she did that to me. I'd be like, your vacation, now you want me to like be part of it or whatever. I'd be like,
but that's always in these movies. So the moments like that were funny. I agree.
The moment when when they kiss the first time, when he's like, all we need is, someone to, fall in love and kiss. And then that's when they get the first idea to kiss. And then but it was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They say, now we just need someone to fall in love and kiss. That's why you kiss me.
Yeah, I'd be mad if somebody kissed me for that reason too.
He's like, I didn't really need a reason. I just wanted to kiss you. That's what I would say. But yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of it, was sort of the wink winks, the Hallmark movies. That was fun. But
it was kind of making fun of itself.
Yeah.
Especially. Definitely.
But I just don't think it in the end worked. It's one of those movies that I feel like just needed like a couple more rewrites. I feel like they were almost there, but it just wasn't quite ready for prime time. I give it 2.5 crowns. What What about you, Camille? What did you give it?
I actually liked it more than I liked Checking It Twice.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the message of like finding Christmas joy, finding joy in yourself, joy in what you do, sharing Christmas, with others, etc. I love that. Like I said, I liked it in a surface level. If you look at it deeper, you're gonna probably want to take your hair out.
Yeah.
But I love Michael Rainey. I'm a huge fan of Lindsay. I've been a fan of hers since like Bold and the Beautiful Days or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like the different take on Hallmark has done in this movie with the whole black and white stuff. So I give it about 3 stars too, about the same as Checking It Twice, but a little bit more. I like it a little bit more than the first movie.
What do you say, Anne?
I'm so bad at these things. I think this score is still inflated because I'm just glad that they tried something, because I think my score is gonna make them try anything else. I don't know. I'm not objective. I just feel like they need some points for like trying something. So I would say 3.75. There was definitely things I liked about it. The dad is definitely the worst part for me.
Yeah.
He's the part that definitely didn't work the most. But there's a lot of other parts that I do actually like. So yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Had Under the Christmas Sky, and this is on the 22nd, and it's Jessica Parker Kennedy, Ryan Pavey, and Andrew Bushell, director Sean Garrity, and writer Christine Huntley. Kat is an esteemed astrophysicist who is scheduled for her first trip into space next year until an accident grounds her. While on leave, coming to terms with the reality that her dream of being an astronaut is over, she volunteers at the local planetarium. There, she is paired up with the by-the-book David to work on an exhibit opening right before Christmas. Will the stars align to bring these two together at the holidays? And I can't remember what I gave this movie, but I don't think I gave it a very high score. It sounded kind of boring. And I can understand maybe somebody feeling that way because it is basically just like a planning movie, but I thought it executed that pretty well. And I do really appreciate how inclusive it was for a Hallmark movie. I mean, this thing had kind of everything in a very effortless, natural way that made sense and wasn't like, look at us, it was part of the story. And I just love Andrew Bushell so much. Just so excited I would love for him to get a lead in one of these Hallmark. He's in he has a lead in A Lifetime and on Up TV, and he's just great and super charming. But I loved his plot in this.
So funny, and like
it was so good.
Yeah, had like
he's
all
so hot,
like swagger, and thought he was so cool. And
I was living for scenes with him and Celeste. Like, oh
yeah,
it was so cute.
They're very cute.
Except I have to say, like, he wasn't really selling himself. I mean, like, literally, he's like, while he's flirting with her, he just drops, "Oh, I'm living with my parents' basement and unemployed." And I'm like, dude.
Yeah. But he's just so darn cute. I was fine with it. I was like, yes, I would be. But I don't. I just really loved him, even with his parents. He's like, "I'm still your favorite child, right?" And and all of
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I also thought, like, again, talking about sort of finding new ways to celebrate Christmas. I thought that the Santa Son was kind of cute and funny, and like bringing in some of those like Saturnalia type of traditions that we like never talk about with Christmas, being because they're talking about planets and space and all that. I thought was kind of refreshing and fun, and um yeah, I liked it. What was interesting is that, so I found out that I guess they actually are like really picky about particularly eyesight when it comes to the astronauts, because you either have to have 20/20 vision or you have to have corrective 20/20 vision. So like you have to have like glasses and things. But if you had like a literal damage to your eye, you would not be able to go in space. I think that is actually accurate, because I guess I was reading, this is interesting to me at least, that I guess being in space is like really hard on your eyes. Something about being near and being away from gravity, it's like really hard on your eyes. And I found this whole like article about how being in space can leave you blind if you're there like long enough. It was really interesting.
That is great.
Wow.
And so like that's why you would never want to go if you
Already
had like an injury like hers, because it literally makes you it makes your eyesight worse being in space. And so anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
But Camille, what do you think overall of this one?
Oh my God. I love this movie. There's so much stuff I love about this movie. Give me a minute so I don't get emotional. First of all, I love the fact I don't think this is is this the first Hallmark movie that they've ever mentioned the pagan like background of Christmas?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I think so, because at least I can't think of when they've ever talked about Saturnalia and the planets and all that stuff.
Yeah, the birth thing of the invincible sun and Roman history and all this other stuff. I was like, thank you for bringing this up, because I'm not Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people who on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever, say that if you're not Christian, you don't get to celebrate Christmas. And it makes me mad, because it's like Christmas, the way we actually like, it was a pagan holiday first. You know what I mean? And so like, I think non-believers have just as much right to celebrate it as Christians do. We just celebrate differently. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I love that it totally linked that up. Kat and her brother are just hilarious. They're hilarious. I'm assuming Lila is the reason why I'm here.
Well, I did think of you when I saw that there's going to be this girl in a wheelchair that I thought, oh, Camille's I'll be curious for her perspective on it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to say. If you know me, if you followed me anywhere, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, you know that I'm a very, very loud advocate for disability representation on Hallmark, particularly. And I mean genuine disability representation, not hiring a sighted actress to play a blind one. But anyway, there is, and when I saw this movie, like the pictures of Lila pop up, I was like, oh yay, there's somebody who's actually disabled. I didn't know at the time that Jessica was also going to be playing a disabled actor. I don't know if she's actually disabled with eyesight or whatever, so what her story is. But I have to say that like the scene that like literally had me in tears was Lila meeting George. This is why I always tell people seeing disability representation is so important because we want to see our version of ourselves doing something that we want to do. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And here's Lila seeing a guy who is in the career that she wants to be growing up, and so she can see that, oh, I can do this too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like I have said this before, like I work with kids now, and I hope and pray that I get to be that person for a kid in the future or whatever. So they look at me and they be like, "Oh, look, she can do this. I can do this too." You know what I mean? But there were the movie was so great, and then the dad, Ryan Baby's character, I don't know, his blow-ups, his overreactions was just, for me, like, off-putting. I'm disabled. I was a disabled child. I am not the parent of a disabled child, so I can't see the point of view of the parent. But for me, I feel like there is what you call it, pull or a need or a want to like fight your kids' battles always, right? Especially more so if they're disabled. But I feel like in a way that is limiting for them more than it is helping them in the future, because you're not going to always be there to fight for them. You know what I mean? And I was lucky with my childhood where, like, yes, I was bullied. I had been pushed down the stairs, someone stole my wheelchair kind of thing, and like I couldn't find it or whatever in my school, and like left me in tears because I was like, where's my wheelchair? And finally they found it, kind of thing. But my parents never never fought the battle for me. They let me fight the battle. They let me fight for myself, which I gave me the strength of character to, as a grown up, as an adult, keep that advocacy for myself, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I feel like they.
I particularly thought
as a parent, he should have let her. He should have overreacted in that sense.
I particularly thought in that one moment when she's helping Lila with the ornament, and he's like, what are you doing? I should have been the one to help her with that. I don't think any parent, disabled child or not, would have that reaction to somebody helping their child. Like you as a parent, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I can only imagine that as a parent, I kind of want all the help I can get, especially somebody that like had been interacting and was friends with Lila, it wasn't like this was some stranger that's like zooming in. Like, you would be like, thank you so much. You would not be mad about that. So that was the main scene where I was like, this is overkill, I think. But I did like that for the most part, he treated her like any other child. This was just his child. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm a great parent because I have a disabled child, like, which I appreciated. And I also just loved the moment when Lila first is talking to Kat, and Lila says, I can't go into space either, so it's okay, Kat. That was just, I just thought that was so lovely and sweet that you'd have Lila be the one comforting Kat.
And comfort her.
Yeah. So, I mean, what did you think, Anne, of this one overall?
I really like the diversity and inclusion, and I think that's like the best part of this movie for me is that I did feel like every time Andrew or not Andrew, what's his name in the movie?
I just wrote Andrew.
Andrew and Celeste.
Andy. His name was Andy.
Andy. Okay.
Andy, yeah.
And Celeste. Every time their scenes came on, I was like sad when their scene ended.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I definitely I thought Jessica, she did her best, but most people know that I really struggle to see Ryan have chemistry with his co-stars. And so, because I thought Jessica and her best friend really seemed like best friends, and Jessica and her brother really seemed like brother and sister. And so that kind of just says something about the one other person that she had a relationship with. and I didn't feel any chemistry. But I thought she did great. But yeah, definitely Andy and Celeste had way like a lot of chemistry.
I really just
I
kept
am
thinking,
I'm so glad to see that there's somebody else who's like, you know, sees problems with Ryan having chemistry with other people. Because I thought for a minute I was the only one, because I'm like, he's sort of like a cardboard. He's kind of stiff.
I've said for a long time, I think that Ryan is great when he's basically playing a variation of Darcy. Whether it is those Darcy movies, which I think he's strong in, even if they're not perfect. But like Timeless Christmas, that kind of when he's playing sort of a little bit stuck up, a little bit like, I think that he's much better suited for those roles than the like everyman kind of type of roles. And even like the football one that he just had, he was kind of royalty in a way, because he was like a famous, famous athlete. So I just think like that's his wheelhouse of being like a celebrity or a royal, or something like just a little bit stuck up. I just
which is kind of ironic, considering like his most famous role before Hallmark is playing a cop, which is like literally
like more regular person.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, I don't know what he was on the soaps, but
he was
a cop. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's interesting. But yeah, I just feel like that's his strength is like.
I think he just has that air of like, like, do we know if he's ever been like in the, what is his like financial background? Like, because I feel like he comes from money. He
does feel regal. He feels, like that's just, I don't know, it's just funny. And he seems like, I mean, I did interview him one time. He was, nice and everything. And, those just seem to be his best fit for Hallmark. And this one, it was fine as far as the chemistry to me. It wasn't like great. It wasn't like terrible to me. But it was hard because you had so much of Andy and Celeste and they were so cute. I just wanted to like package them up in their own movie because I love them so much. And
they definitely should have their own movies. I think they're so cute.
And there was a lot in this movie that was trying new things we don't always see in every Christmas movie, like the Saturnalia stuff, like the Santa son, but also the curling scene I thought was really cute.
Yeah, that was cute. That was fun. I like that.
I think that after watching curling in Olympics and never knowing what the heck they're doing except with brooms and whatever that thing is, I'm like, during the like 5 minutes it was on screen in the Hallmark movie, I actually understood what curling is.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's, let me see what else. I think we covered most everything. But yeah, Santa's son, and so you're a lifesaver, and
I think the whole like also the confrontation, like why does Hallmark always have to have this like disagreement at the end of the movie? Like that was a disagreement that just didn't need to be there.
Yeah, that she was like helping his daughter.
Well, not just that, but what about the new job thing? I mean, he overheard a conversation. Mm-hmm. She didn't even say yes or no, and he just jumped to the conclusion that she was going to get the job. And I'm like, dude, you were just.
That was for me what brought this movie down, was like the same conflict 2 times, like him making assumptions and overreacting when she's literally trying to explain to you and you're just like interrupting her and just freaking out. And that just made like, why do you have to have the same, him like having the same like issue 2 times within 20 minutes? And that just kind of bummed me out.
Yeah, that's true.
Their relationship part anyway, that kind of just irritated me.
But I liked it when Andy was telling Celeste that he's taking classes. He's like, I'm going online.
She's like, I'm gonna be right here.
Yeah, that was cute.
There's a kiss between them when they were like this close to each other.
I know.
What? Oh.
I was hoping they would kiss.
I was
like,
too.
yes.
We're gonna kiss that last scene. Oh, they're about to kiss, and then he like asked her to dinner. I was like, oh, come on. Then we kiss, and then asked to get it in.
Because
And
one
they
of
were
the
just
things
kiss.
that I learned in my interview with Andrew Bushell that I did earlier this year is he was on Second City in Chicago for like years. And so he has like, which is an improv troupe, famous improv troupe that like Tina Fey and like big
Yeah.
people went through.
Oh,
And
wow.
so he has skills.
That's
And
comedic chops.
so they can use him as not only a charming leading man, but he knows how to be funny.
Mhm.
And
I
and
would
he showed
love
quite
to
a
see
bit
him
of
in more
that.
Christmas movies. I would love to see him in more movies.
Yeah.
You
Like I said,
you interviewed him. Have you asked him like, hey, if Hallmark is calling, would you like to come on as a leading man or what?
mhm. Well, no, he is. I mean, he's trying. He's in one for on Up TV. He was the leading man in 2 movies on Lifetime, I think, last year. And then
What were the
this
2
year, this year he is he's in one called We're Scrooged, which I've seen it early. It's really fun, really good. It's because it's very clever because it's about a couple that used to date, not dating anymore, high school sweethearts basically, and they end up both getting Scrooged at the same time. They get visited by the 3 ghosts and the 3. It's really fun. So he's
Where
great.
is that coming on?
That's on Up TV, and
Well, he's sending his leading man resume, so
he's
hopefully
working on it. But Hallmark,
Yes, I hope that'll get.
Maybe we need to talk to Lisa or somebody.
yeah.
To
I just
like,
hope
hey.
I hope that this movie they really saw something here because
Yeah.
they gave him a lot more time than a typical secondary character.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it kind of made me think like, oh, maybe they sort of saw and like added a little bit more to his character. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just was like, okay, now you need to go with him 100% because he's great.
He's cute too.
He is so cute.
So cute.
You don't need more black leading men. I'm just saying. So
Yes.
Definitely need some more.
Yeah.
Oh,
So this one was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought, oh, this is going to be a snooze, but it was cute. It was heartwarming. It tried as hard as it could. And it had this great secondary romance. So I am going to give it, I'm going to give it a generous 4. Especially when, I hear like people like Camille talk how much, it means the representation. Yeah, I'd watch it again. I enjoyed it. What about you? What would you give it, Anne?
I would give it 3.25.
Mm-hmm. And Camille, what would you give it?
4.
4. Very good.
All
right.
Lila and George, that scene to me,
Yeah, that was sweet.
knocked it out of the park. Like it brought to there. Someone said to me one time, like those who, representation is important for everyone except those who just like, are used to it for themselves. You know what I mean? And like, if we could only just see more people in our careers, in.
Mm-hmm.
Doing what we want to do, looking like us, kind of thing, it would be such a difference. And I imagine Lila meeting George would probably change her life too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, very good. Let us know if you're listening what you would give all 3 of these movies, what you thought of them. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Anne, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at awscott21.
Great. And Camille, where can people follow you?
Hallmark Heartbeats, on IG, and on Facebook. I used to host a podcast, but I'm currently on hiatus because of busy life. But
Very good. All right. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. 5 stars helps people to find, especially during this time of year, helps find the pod. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers on YouTube aren't subscribers. So if you're in that camp, click subscribe and like the video because it really helps the algorithm a lot. And then we also have our patron group, like we talked about, and that's a great way to chat about the movies after they happen and to support the pod. And we have weekly exclusive reviews. We have watch alongs. Like this week, we're having our watch along with director Jake Helgren. It's gonna be super fun. So we give you opportunities to talk to directors, talk to talent, and ask questions. It's really fun to be a patron. So please take a look at that. And then we also have the merch store where I just uploaded today one of our new designs for this holiday season. And we're going to be having a lot more coming out. So definitely make sure you check out the merch stores for some really fun holiday designs.
Tank top
Oh yeah.
from a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I saw it.
So check that out. We really appreciate it. And thanks so much, everybody. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.